The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Past BI chapter. My name is Nathan and I'm going to be the host and Sohail will be the presenter. Initially, let me show some of the topics and events going to happen in this past community. Then I will make Sohail as the presenter. And I appreciate all your time this evening to join this this webinar. Apart from the business intelligence chapter, there are a lot of other chapters. You can see it on the screen, and you can be member of them. And then there are a lot of other chapters which have like a lot of interesting topics you can have. You can go through. And these are all the virtual chapter meetings, and most of them are already happened because we are at the end of the month. So let's move on. And these are all the upcoming SQL Saturdays. If you are not familiar with the SQL Saturdays, SQL Saturday is a whole day event, and where a lot of Microsoft MVPs and other professionals and speakers will present. And these are all the upcoming in North America and in international. And please go and feel free to attend, and there will be a lot of knowledge you can gain from attending those events. And finally, that joining a local chapter will have like you will have face-to-face networking and in-person learning, and also you can meet some of other peers who are in the same SQL environment or in the same fields. So with that, now I'm going to make Sohail as the presenter, and then he will start, and then there may be a intermediate pass, but once you know Sohail starts sharing his screen, you should see uh, you know his presentation. And Sohail, now you are the presenter. Can you share the screen, please?
Okay, yes. Can you see the presentation now?
Not yet. Yeah. You can take over.
Okay, thank you, Nathan. And hello, everyone, and welcome to Business Intelligence Virtual Chapter. This webinar, as you know, is about visualizing your Azure SQL data warehouse with Power BI. First of all, I would like to thank you for taking your time and attending this webinar, and I hope you had wonderful Christmas holidays. I am Sohail Bakhshi, Business Intelligence and Data Warehouse Consultant, Microsoft MCP, MCSE, MCSA, MCITP, and MCTS. I have several years of experience in data visualization, Microsoft Power BI stack, data warehousing, and also Microsoft Cloud technologies like Azure SQL Database, Azure SQL Data Warehouse, and Power BI. I'm based in Aotearoa. Aotearoa is the native name of New Zealand, which is one of the most beautiful countries in the world. In this session, we will look at two amazing new cloud technologies from Microsoft, Azure SQL Data Warehouse and Power BI. Both technologies are growing very quickly, and it is really exciting that they can talk to each other very effectively. In this session, we will cover the following objects. First of all, I will go through. Yep.
Can you close that and go to meeting? The webinar, like the red arrow at the top, so it will get minimized.
Is it better now?
No, on the right hand side. Yeah, yeah. Okay, thank you.
Okay, no worries. Okay, First of all, I will go through some brief introduction of both technologies, and I will review some common definitions from Power BI that I will regularly use during this webinar. And right after that, I will talk about visualization requirements that should be met, and then I will discuss how to install and configure Azure SQL Data Warehouse through Azure Portal. And then I will show you how to connect directly from Azure SQL Data Warehouse to Power BI Service and vice versa. And we will create some simple reports in Power BI Service to show you how it works when you connect directly from Power BI to Azure SQL Data Warehouse or the other way around. And finally, I will talk about visualizing your data warehouse data in Power BI Desktop. And at last, we will come up with some conclusions. And should you have any questions, I will be happy to answer you. There's some basic definitions in Power BI that you might be familiar with, but for those of you guys that are not that familiar with these definitions, a data set in Power BI is a collection of data that you import from connecting to several supported data sources like SQL Server, Excel, or lots of other data sources like Azure SQL Data Warehouse and Microsoft CRM and so on. The other definition is a report. A report is actually a view of your data, which can have multiple visualizations that represents different perspectives and insights of your data. The next definition is visualization. Visualization is actually each predefined or customized chart that you put in your reports. A dashboard is a combination of your data in a single pane, which is a consolidated view across the whole organization. I want to point out that the dashboards are available only in Power BI Service. They are not available in Power BI Desktop. And the next definition is tiles. Tiles are indeed snapshots of your data pinned to a dashboard. You can pin tiles from many different places, from a report itself. So you can tile a report, a data set, a dashboard, or a Q&A question box in Excel. And there is a new feature with SQL Server 2016 that you can pin your SSRS report to your dashboard as well. As tile is an element of the dashboard, it is again not available in Power BI Desktop. It is available only in Power BI Service. But what is Power BI Desktop itself? Power BI Desktop is indeed a desktop application for report authoring. So it is generally a reporting tool. And the difference between Power BI Desktop and Power BI Service is that Power BI Service is actually an online software as a service offering from Microsoft, which is based on Microsoft Azure. Microsoft Azure is a Microsoft cloud computing infrastructure. So those are different things actually. Power BI Desktop is a reporting tool, and Power BI Service is an online reporting tool, sort of. And in the next section, I'm going to talk about Azure SQL Data Warehouse. Azure SQL Data Warehouse is, again, another Azure service. It is a service which is industry's first enterprise class data warehouse, cloud data warehousing service that can be grow and shrink in seconds, which is really important for businesses. Other cloud data warehouses lack of enterprise features like stored procedures, partitioning, indexes, and so on, which forces you to build your data warehouse from scratch. If you want to migrate to data warehouse, you will need to build it from scratch. But in contrast, Azure SQL Data Warehouse offers using T-SQL. So with Polybase, SQL Data Warehouse offers the ability to combine data sets very easily from structured, non-structured, and semi-structured data like Hadoop. You can use T-SQL on top of that. And the next thing which is important is slow elasticity, which prevents cloud adoption. In other cloud data warehousing systems, users need to choose machine instances and the amount of storage that they need. And in cloud, the cloud technology combines storage and compute into the packages, and which creates scaling up and down a time-consuming and very expensive process. But in contrast, Azure SQL Data Warehouse offers a very quick and easy scaling up and down. You will have the ability to pause your data warehouse whenever you don't need it. So you will pay only for the storage. You will pay a very, very cost-effective amount of money for the storage. Whenever you don't need your data warehouse, you can pause it. And also, Azure SQL Data Warehouse supports massive parallel processing architecture, which is originally designed for large on-premises data sources. We don't have time in this session to talk about all of aspects of Azure SQL Data Warehouse. It is a really, really big environment, and there are a lot to learn about. I will leave it to you guys to have a look at online and watching. There are lots of videos available online that you can watch, or you can read Microsoft Azure documentation. But what is really important here is migration and design considerations. Not all SQL Server database features are available inside Azure SQL Data Warehouse. So something like primary keys and foreign keys are not supported in Azure SQL Data Warehouse because it is actually a distributed database, so it cannot support foreign keys and primary keys. But without foreign keys and primary keys, we won't have any sort of physical relationships. So Power BI service cannot detect the relationships, and without the relationships, it will show us the same amount of measures for each slice and dice. But what are the requirements for Azure SQL Data Warehouse? First things first, you need to have Microsoft Azure subscription. If you don't already have it, you can apply for a 1-month trial of Azure service. You will get $250 credit, but remember, if you exceed $250 credit, or if you want to use it more, you will need to pay for it. There is a very good offer from Microsoft, pay as you go, so you will pay for the resources that you are using. And requirements for visualization, you will need to have a Power BI Pro account. Without Power BI Pro account, you cannot use Azure SQL Database or Azure SQL Data Warehouse on top of Power BI service. And you will need to have a Power BI Desktop if you want to use Power BI Desktop, if you want to connect from Power BI Desktop to Azure SQL Data Warehouse. And as I mentioned, you need to have Microsoft Azure subscription. You need to install Azure SQL Data Warehouse service in your Azure portal, and Also, you need to configure firewall settings. I will show you how to do the configuration of firewall settings from Azure Portal or from SSMS 2016. This is a new feature available in Management Studio 2016. Let's go through some demos now. Okay. This is my Azure portal, and this is my dashboard of Azure account. To create any new cluster, we need to click on New, and from the Marketplace list, from Data and Storage, click on SQL Data Warehouse, which is in preview mode. And the name is the database name. I will load AdventureWorks as a sample for this webinar, so I'm calling this AdventureWorks DW02. As I mentioned in the introduction, scaling up and down is super easy in Azure SQL Data Warehouse. As you can see, there is a slide bar here that I can move left and right based on what I need. So for this webinar, I'm going for the cheapest one. And then I need to select or create a new instance of SQL Server or an existing instance of SQL Server. To save time during the webinar, because this would be a long process if I want to create a new server, but I can show you that you can create a new server just putting a server name here, administrator, and confirm password. But I'm gonna stick with my predefined instance of SQL Server. I'm gonna select it, and then you can select a sample database, which, as you can see, will be AdventureWorks, and I'm getting a credential login here because I selected an existing instance of SQL Server, and then click Create. This might take some time. I measured it, and sometimes it takes up to 8 minutes, and I don't want to take that much time to do this, so I'm going to use my predefined AdventureWorks data warehouse, which is available for us. Okay, so the installation part is completed, will be completed, but I showed you how to install Azure SQL Data Warehouse, and the next step is configuring our firewall. So first of all, I'm going to show you how to configure your firewall from Azure Portal. So I can click on this widget here, or I can go through and click on All Resources, and then I need to click on my SQL Server instance. And here you go. There is a firewall settings here, and there is another firewall setting here. Those are exactly the same thing. I'm clicking on Show Firewall Settings. As you can see, my current IP address is already added. I'm going to remove it. This is my IP address. If I want to add it from Azure Portal, I can click on Add IP Address, and then I can click on Save. this is the way that we can do it from Azure portal, but I promise you to show you how to do the same thing from Management Studio 2016. So I'm going to open Management Studio 2016. To be able to do that from Management Studio, I need to have a fully qualified name of my server, and to find out the server name, I need to click on my database. Yes, I'm going to discard this. So I'm clicking on my database, and here is the server name. I'm going to copy the server name, and in Management Studio database engine, I already had it because I connected to the same instance before. And my password, and click connect. And this is the new feature added to Management Studio 2016. I'm going to sign in to my Azure account from Management Studio. And here you go. I can add my own IP address, or I can add a range of subnets and IP ranges. So I'm going to stick with my own IP address, and I'm doing it from here. Okay, as you can see, we are connected to my SQL Server, and as you can see, I have already predefined AdventureWorks and AdventureWorks DW02 that I newly created. So the next part of the demo is connecting from Azure SQL Data Warehouse to Power BI Service. As you can see, there is a button here in my Azure SQL Data Warehouse, open in Power BI. If I click on this button, it will redirect me to my Power BI service account. And as you can see, it adds the server name and database name automatically. There is also an advanced option here, the refresh interval and a customized filter that can be dimension name or fact name, or even T-SQL script here. And the thing that I want to point out is that this dataset will be automatically refreshed in the background when you load it into Power BI service. And as you can see, the refresh interval here by default is 15 minutes, and indeed this is the minimum amount of intervals. So I cannot set it to refresh my data every 5 minutes or so. So the minimum amount is 15, but I'm not going to enable this for now, and I'm going to stick with the default settings. And then I need to pass my credentials. And sign in. It is saying importing data, but it is not actually importing any data because it is a direct querying the data set. So whatever we do in here, we are actually hitting the database directly. So what it is loaded here into the data set is database structure. So whatever table, view, stored procedures we had are already loaded into the data set. But the negative point here is that if we create any other database objects in the future, just like creating a new view, we cannot see those views in this data set because the data set structure is a rigid structure.
Hey, Sohail.
So, yep.
I have a couple of questions. Can I, read it those? Like, one of the viewer wants to know, can you use Power BI desktop to connect to your local SQL Server database?
Yes, you can do. To do that, yes, you can connect from Power BI desktop to your on-premises local SQL Server database, and then you can also publish your defined reports into Power BI service online. But to do that, you need to install Personal Gateway, or if you want to do that for an enterprise level, you need to install Enterprise Gateway. Both gateways are available online in Power BI service, and you can do that here. Power BI gateways. You can click on this, and I'm going to open it in a new tab. This is for personal use. It is Power BI Personal Gateway. The other one is Enterprise Gateway.
Okay. Maybe I will read all the questions at the end, so you can explain. So you can continue your presentation.
Okay. Thanks, Nathan. Okay. So now I'm going to create a very simple report on top of my data warehouse. So I'm going to click on this ellipsis button and click on Explore. I want to see my sales amount, internet sales amount, based on calendar year. So I'm going to click on sales amount and expanding the date and calendar year. Oops. What we can see here is not beautiful. It is showing us the same amount of sales amount for all years. Why it is like that? As I mentioned before, there is no relationships. There is no foreign keys and primary keys, so it cannot detect the actual sales amount per year. There is a workaround here to be able to use this sort of direct connection, and it is that we can create views on Azure side. So I already created a view here in my predefined data warehouse, which is internet sales calendar. I will show you how to use this in the next demo, which is connecting from Power BI service to Azure SQL Data Warehouse. I'm going to rename this service for now, Demo 1, and I'm going to save this report as Demo Report 01. To connect to Azure SQL Data Warehouse, I need to click on Add button from the datasets and then databases, and you can see Azure SQL Data Warehouse is available here. And again, we need the server name and the database name. And credentials. Here we go. I'm going to rename this to Demo 2 and doing the same thing. And as you can see, my view is available here. I'm going to add a column chart, adding here to access, and I have due amount, order amount, and ship amount.
Hey Sahel, I have a couple of questions. Let me ask you.
Yes, sure.
Okay. One question is, my question is about connection to Azure from Power BI service. When it says import, does it make live connection only, or it actually imports data from Azure Warehouse to Power BI?
It is a direct connection. So whatever click that I'm doing here, I'm actually hitting the data warehouse directly.
Okay. Then I have a question from Gary. It says, can a tile be surfaced in an iframe?
Sorry, I didn't get it.
Can a tile be surfaced in an iframe? That's the question.
I don't know the answer.
Okay.
I have to have a look at this. I didn't do that before.
Okay. Then from Pradeep, do we need to add data set every time we create new DB objects?
Yes. Yes, as I mentioned, unfortunately, this is one of the downsides of directly connecting from Power BI service to Azure SQL Data Warehouse. As I mentioned, it loads the database structure into the service, so it is rigid for now. With the current version, you need to delete the dataset, or you need to re-import the dataset as a new dataset.
Okay, thank you.
No worries. Okay, and I have a new report here. I'm going to save the report as demo report 2. Here we are completed with the direct connection from Azure SQL Data Warehouse into a Power BI service. The next module in the demo is using Power BI Desktop on top of our Azure SQL Data Warehouse. So I'm going to open my Power BI Desktop. There are two options for visualizing your Azure SQL Data Warehouse with Power BI Desktop. First is importing data into the model, and the second is direct query again, but it is different from direct querying from Power BI service. I will show you very shortly. Okay, so to connect to Power BI to Azure SQL Data Warehouse, again, we need to have this fully qualified server name. And I will, from get data, I'm gonna use data warehouse. Okay, I'm going to click here. Server name and database name. And I'm going to select dim date, dim product, product category, product subcategory, and fact internet sales. And as far as I click on load, I will have two options: to import data into Power BI desktop model or creating a direct query. For this demo, I'm going to import data. This will be a time-consuming process. Again, I created a copy of the same thing, so I'm going to open it, because as you know, it is importing data from the internet, and my internet connection is not that good. Sometimes it takes more than 5 minutes to open and load the model. Okay, as you can see, we have the same thing here. It is very interesting that Power BI Desktop can detect almost all of the relationships automatically from on top of Azure SQL Data Warehouse. One of the relationships that it cannot detect is when you have a conformed dimension in your data warehouse. A conformed dimension like dim date, like date dimension. So as you can see, I have a due date, ship date, and order date. One workaround here for conformed dimensions is re-importing the dimension several times to cover all of our needs. So I imported the date dimension 3 times to cover my ship date, due date, and order date, and I created the relationships, but all other relationships are detected by Power BI Desktop automatically. And as you can see, yep.
Sohail, I have 3 questions. Sorry to bother you. When you change size of a field, say from 10 characters to 20 characters using Power BI Desktop, or you add a new field, do we have to publish the report and refresh the data set?
Sorry, I didn't get the question.
Okay.
What do you mean?
Like
changing the
they are asking, if they change the field size from 10 to 20 characters, do you want to publish the report again, or refresh the data set? Which way is better?
Whatever changes you make in the model, you will need to republish the model into Power BI service, but all of your reports and dashboards will work if you didn't change the names, or if you didn't remove a field or something like that.
Okay. The second question is there any difference between Power BI Desktop and Power BI app for Windows 10?
Yes. In Power BI app is just a preview mode. And I actually installed Power BI app on Windows 8. I didn't install it on Windows 10, but I reckon they're the same things. You cannot create reports there. You can see the reports, you can browse the reports. It is just an app for your mobile device. It could be your mobile phone, it could be your tablet, Windows tablet, or whatever.
The third question is, does Power BI support creating perspectives in your model?
Creating perspectives in your model. Perspectives, you mean analysis services perspectives?
That's a question. So maybe Peter can phrase the question again, and then I will read it to you.
If it is question for analysis services. I didn't notice that. I'm not sure if you can use perspectives, but Power BI can use yes, Power BI can use the Enterprise Gateway to direct connect to your SSAS instance with the Enterprise Gateway.
Okay.
So whatever you can see in your SSAS, you will be able to see it in Power BI. But personally, I didn't notice perspectives. If from perspective you mean analysis services perspective.
Yeah.
Is there any other questions?
He's saying yes in SSAS and advanced feature in Excel Power Pivot.
Yeah, yeah. This is the question. This is the answer that I said. Yeah.
Thank you.
No worries. Okay. Let us continue where we. Yeah, I was talking about conform dimensions and the way that we can work around conform dimensions. So I imported dim date several times. To import a conform dimension or any other dimensions or any other generally tables or objects, you can use the recent resource, and then you can click on your data source, and then select your dimension from the list, and then reload it again. I reckon our previous sample is already, no, it is still loading. See, guys, it is taking a lot of time. Okay, so I created a very simple chart, as you can see here, and I'm gonna publish this chart to my Power BI service. There is a very important point here. When you are signing in to your Power BI, you will have two options here. Microsoft provides two types of accounts, a work or a school account and a personal account. If you use your personal account, you will get an error message here. But I'm going to connect to my work account. See? This is the error message that we get. So the first one presumably was my personal account. Okay. I need to re-log in. Yes. I need to select work or school account here, and then passing my password. Let me see if the other model, no, it is still loading data into the model. Okay, until this is loading, let me talk about what are the uses of all of these different scenarios. So for direct query mode, doesn't matter if you select to connect directly from Azure Data Warehouse to Power BI service, or you're going to create the model. Yep, model is published, but I need to complete my word. So it doesn't matter whatever you want to do. If you are going to direct connect from your Azure SQL Data Warehouse to Power BI service, or you are going to select direct query mode from Power BI desktop, generally direct query is more used for near real-time monitoring systems. So if you are going to design a near real-time monitoring system, go with direct query mode, because in direct query mode, as you could see, there are lots of features unavailable, and I will show you the other features that are not available even in Power BI desktop. So let's continue this demo for now. And my model is already published here. This is my model. So I'm gonna create a schedule refresh for my model, because it is not going to be refreshed automatically. And I need to edit credentials. It is not in Windows authentication mode. And click on schedule refresh. I can enable it for daily refresh at 1 a.m. And Cortana is a new feature available in Power BI service. Cortana and Q&A questions are the features that are available only when you load data into the model. So this is another restriction for you if you're going to create a near real-time monitoring system. Keep in mind that you do not have any Q&A question boxes, or you cannot use Cortana in Power BI service, and also DAX and Power Query are not available in these scenarios. And as you can see, my report is already loaded here. And yep, finally our first data import is connected. I'm just going to show you what is automatically detected in the relationships view. As you can see, the links between dim product and product subcategory and product category and fact internet sales are automatically detected, but you can rename your dimension very easily by double-clicking on the name. And if you, as I mentioned, if you need to import your conform dimension several times, you can go and use recent sources. So I'm not going to repeat myself, so I'm going to close this one, and we're going to the next demo, which is direct query mode in Power BI desktop. So I'm going to click on new to create a new Power BI desktop for me. And again, click on Get Data and Azure SQL Data Warehouse. Again, I need to enter server name. Again, selecting the same dimensions, fact internet sales, click on load, but this time I'm gonna select direct query. Again, keep in mind, guys, whatever click I will do to select any of the fields, I'm actually hitting the database directly. So This will take a long time again, so I'm going to move on and use my predefined direct query model.
Hey Sohail,
Yes.
there is a question from Peter. What would you recommend for self-service BI to create the model locally from multiple data sources, or do it Power BI? It's from a business analyst or IT perspective.
Power BI desktop, for sure.
Okay, thank you. And then
You can use Power. It is really depends on your case. Power BI Desktop is a free tool, so you can use it, but you will have a 250 megabytes limitations on storage when you want to publish it into the Power BI service. I will discuss this very shortly, but this 250 megabytes storage limitation applies to each one of your data sets that you are publishing online. If you don't want to publish it online and you are not worried about storage, so go for it and use Power BI Desktop. But again, it depends. You can use Excel 2016, which is a really powerful tool for self-service BI.
I have another question. I think you already answered. How do you connect to your SQL database using Power BI Gateway?
You are not connecting from Power BI Gateway, actually. You are connecting from Power BI Desktop, but your connection will go through Power BI Gateway into your on-premises SQL Server. You need to have a gateway. The gateway is actually, as it shows, as the name shows, it is a gateway. It is passing way through your Power BI Desktop, your Power BI service, and your on-premises database, which if you are using Power BI, if you are using SQL Server, a SQL Server database engine, you can use a personal gateway. If you want to create live connection to your analysis services, you will need to install the enterprise gateway. Did I answer the questions?
Yeah, thank you. And then, I have a couple of questions. I will read it at the end, okay?
Okay, it's all right. As you can see, guys, here in this model, I do not have data view. The views that are available in the direct query mode from Power BI Desktop is just relationships and reports view. But very important point that I need to say is that it is again a direct query mode. So Power BI Desktop is unable to identify the relationships automatically. You need to create all the relationships manually. So if I come back to my sample, yes, my data is my connection is done now. I'm gonna just show you how it works. See, there is no relationships here detected by Power BI Desktop itself. And even creating a relationship takes some time because it is going through passing all the credentials and creating connection to your data warehouse and so on. So I'm gonna drag and drop the fields that I want to create a link. So look at here. Look at this. It is determining the relationship credentials, and it takes time. And as far as I click OK, it creates the relationship, but it takes time. So as you can see, if you're working on a very big real data warehouse with I don't know, several dimensions and fact tables, say you have 100 of them. It will be a time-consuming process, but if you need it, you will go for it. Okay, so let's go back to our report. I already created another report. I don't want to do that. I assume that all of you guys know these things, but I'm going to publish it again into my Power BI service because the configuration is different here. See, it says you need to provide credentials for this data set. So I'm going to close this, and when I'm going back to my Power BI service, look at here, I'm going to click on dataset settings, and yes, I need to again pass my credentials, and right after that it will refresh my data automatically. And keep in mind the minimum interval was 15 minutes. So this was the last demo for today. I'm going back to presentation, and this is a conclusion table. So again, as if you're going to create a near real-time monitoring system, I suggest you go with Power BI Desktop Direct Query. As you could see, direct connection from Azure SQL Data Warehouse to Power BI service and vice versa is super easy. It is super easy, but it is not fully functional. And it is a time-consuming process to create lots of views in Azure side, and sometimes you might not be able to create very efficient views, and it hits performance. And as you can see, there are lots of options that are not available here. But if you do not have any sort of special needs, and if you do not have a very big data warehouse, I suggest you go for the import data scenario. With import data scenario, you can use DAX functionalities, and you can use Power Query and M. It is really good that you can create relationships in direct query mode in Power BI Desktop, and you can use some functionalities of Power Query and M, but it is semi-functional. So, for instance, you cannot create M functions, I mean user-defined functions, when you are using a direct query from Power BI Desktop. And if you want to read more about Azure SQL Data Warehouse, you can use these references. And this was my session. Thank you. If you have any questions, Nathan, I will be happy to help.
Yeah, I have a question from Peter. It's when you change to a friendly name, will it change the DAX measures, or will you have to manually correct it like in Power Pivot?
Yes, it does. If you are if you are using import scenario, it does.
And then the second question is, use Power Query in Excel for greater functionality today over Power BI?
Actually, I'm using Power BI on a daily basis. But sometimes I need to, because I have some clients that they need to have Excel. They bought Excel and they need to have Excel. So sometimes you really need to go with Excel.
I have a question. It looks like Power BI Desktop has to go through a gateway in order to connect with either local database or Azure database. Is that correct?
No, no. As you could see, there were predefined connections for Azure Data Warehouse and Azure SQL, and I do not have any gateways installed on my machine. But I connected to Azure and I published my models into the Power BI service, and it worked.
And does Power BI support MDX?
Power BI support MDX, yes, if you connect to your SSAS multidimensional model using Power BI personal gateway, then you can use DAX, otherwise you can't. And when I'm telling you you can use DAX, actually Power BI model and Power Pivot and also SSAS Tabular, all of these technologies are working based on relational databases. So when you are writing a DAX query, you're actually creating a table inside your inside your Power Pivot, your tabular model, or your Power BI model. You're creating a table. So you write a DAX, an MDX query to create a table. You will write another MDX, you will create another table, and then you will need to create relationships like we did for our samples.
And then I have questions all over, like okay, can you display true average time duration in card visualization?
What is that? Sorry, average time?
Can you display true average time duration in card visualization? So far, it calculates averages in decimal format in Power BI. There is a visualization called card visualization, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So can you display true average time in there?
I didn't do that. I didn't try that before. I don't know.
Okay. There is a question, how to connect AS400 database to Power BI?
How to connect
AS400.
AAS
No,
400.
AS400. It's a AS400.
EAS. I don't know. I'm not familiar with this database. Sorry.
Okay. Maximum number of rows smoothly supported by Power BI, and what are number of dimensions and facts supported?
What are the number of dimensions and facts supported?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if there is any limitations on the number of dimensions and facts and even the rows. But based on my experience, about just 2 weeks before Christmas, I was working on a project with a very big data warehouse, and in just one table, the client had 230 million records in that table, and we loaded it into the model successfully, and they had at least 5 other tables with more than 200 million records. So I don't think there is any sort of limitations that we need to be worried about. And about the number of facts and about the number of tables and entities that you can load into the model. I used on Power BI on top of AX 2012 database, which has more than 5,000 tables, and I cannot remember that I was able to load all 5,000 tables. I think there is a limitation, but sorry guys, I do not have any numbers on my head to tell you straightforward.
Can we ask the viewers to send emails to you with some of these questions? Is it okay with you?
Sure. Sure, I will be happy to help.
Okay.
And they can jump online in my website and ask their questions. I've published lots of articles around Power BI in my website, and I will be happy to help, Nathan, and all of you guys.
Okay, can you actually for the viewers, like I recorded this session and it will be uploaded to the YouTube in a day or two, and there is a YouTube channel for the past BI chapter, and then you can view this video presentation in a day or two, and then if Sohail, if you can upload your presentation in your website, then users viewers can see some of the links and slides.
Yes, sure. I will do that in a day. It will be available from Monday.
Okay.
Monday our time.
And I really appreciate your time, Sohail, and then it was a nice presentation, and I really want to thank you for volunteering doing this presentation in the past BI chapter.
No, thank you so much, and thank you all of you guys to attend this webinar. I hope you enjoyed it.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.